Hi, welcome back. How you doing? Okay, so in the last one, obviously we finished up doing the faux magazine. So what we're going to do now is do a little bit of wiring. So I'm going to hide this because I don't need it at the minute. This is like a static piece. It's not going to move. The rest of it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of manipulators. So if I just go into my helpers panel, and in here I've got my manipulators. Click slider, and I'm going to make two of them. 1, 2, like that. Now then, the first one, if I select it, I'm going to name, let me see, magazine lower. Okay, or control even, that's better. Okay, so that we can dock it into position without having to faff around with it every single time. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it, and I think I'll give it a maximum of 50. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go wire parameters, transform it, and I want to transform it on the z-axis, so going up and down. I'm going to bind it, so I'm going to click on magazine control, and for my object slider the value is going to be obviously how far up and down it is. I'm going to make a two-way connection and click connect. Now I'll close this. Now here select and manipulate. If I grab that, I can now, as you see, raise it or lower it into place. Okay, now the next one, tiny bit more of a challenge really. What we're going to do is we're going to rotate this one. So again, wire parameters, and I can wire them both to the same control if I want, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to, let me see, use a transform, its rotation on the z-axis. Take it to this second one, and I'm going to have it on the object slider as a value. And let's see, I'm going to have it go both ways. You'll notice this will probably move once I click connect. Oh good, it didn't. There we go. Now it'll probably tell us what rest position it is in. 1.571 is the position here. Okay, so make a note of that. First of all, label, and we'll call this the gun control, just so we know what it is. And I'll call it this as well, control gun. Do it the other way around, that way we've got a good naming convention. Right, copy our current value, which is 1.571, into our minimum. Now our maximum, I'm probably only going to drop about 3, and we can test out how that works. Well, that's okay, but it's kind of going the wrong way. So let's grab that, and we'll make that the maximum instead. And we'll make the minimum 0. Okay, let's see how that works. That's much better. As you can see, it now folds inside, and that raises up. Okay, and that's all we had to do really, just to create this. And now it means that we don't have to go toggling for things when we need them. If we just click unhide all, now we can see that that's too high, so that's easily fixed. If 33 would appear to be the maximum that we're comfortable with, I mean it doesn't matter if it pokes through the top, if that's mounted into the ceiling, but it's kind of what we're comfortable with. So I'm going to change the value now to 30 and the maximum to 30, and that means now it won't ever poke through the roof of our object. So all we have to do is our gun drops into place and our magazine drops on top of the gun. And as you can see the magazine lift off when it's not in use. Yeah? Now the good thing about this is that we can then kind of fly this down and out, and the gun control is still going to work on that. I mean this won't, as you can see, because it's not bound to anything at the moment. But if we bind that to the rest of this, then that will work. So let's see, hide this, so hide selection, and drop that down, drop that down. Now if I take this and just bind it to that, it means that it's still, stop that you, it still will go up and, oh I've got the wrong tool on, hang on. There we go, it'll still go up and down, but when the piece moves it will move with it. So we can go down like that. You'll notice you don't need to bring it all the way down if the gun's slightly angled. Okay, but we've got our magazine in place, and the good thing is that if we want to, we can kind of start swooping about with it and stuff, and it'll all work. Yeah? Hopefully you're kind of getting where I'm coming from with this now. Very efficient way of doing things, having slider manipulators on here. Let's just name this one as well. Control magazine. I mean, you can apply controls to just about everything as well, so if you wanted the top part to lift away, we could have that happen. We could also have it rotate while it was spinning away, and all sorts of fun things like that. So, unhide all. And I think we're starting to get somewhere with this. Okay, now what I'm going to have to do is build an array of textures. So, let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is open my materials, and as you see I've got flipping loads, and just apply my basic material to everything for the moment. And I'm going to start here. So let's see, hide unselected. God dear me. Let's see, where is it? Hide unselected. Just so I can work with this one. And let's see, so the basic material on this will be a nice bright-ish blue. So I'll apply that. Control I. These will be not blue. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to take it into my favourite fast viz renderer. Now this is an optional step for you guys, you don't have to be doing this. However, I find bunk speed really useful. Bunk speed's hypershot, and the educational version is pretty damn cheap, so let's see, I'm going to assign that to there. Okay, unhide all. Now I'll go into this one and hide unselected again. And this gives us this nice panel here. And I'm going to assign these to the second one. Unhide all. Select this. Now then, this one's got quite a lot of fun bits to select, so these guns, for example, are going to be on, I think, this colour probably. There we are. Now then, the bullets need to be selected. And the reason we're doing this is because if we apply different materials to all of these and then export it in Filmbox format, then all the individual textures that we've selected, which only takes us about 10 minutes to do, can then be assigned individually as well in Hypershot. And I'm going to be nagging the living daylights out of the guys who make Hypershot to make a better student version. Because if I love it, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't also love it deeply. Okay, and let's take these. Hopefully I won't make this one pink this time. It's important to assign different colours to each of the parts on this. If nothing else, if we're doing this as a normal kind of texturing job in Photoshop, or even just using, you know, the standard textures which come with 3ds Max, which we can also do, it means that we've got the materials separated off. We can then, you know, make this into a multi-map We could even separate them off by material IDs or anything else. But for this example, this is a good visual example of how to do it. Okay, and there. And then I'm going to create another texture over here. There we go. Just going to make sure that I can see the difference, which isn't as cut and dried as it seems, trust me. Now then, those are floating above the surface, which is kind of aggravating. Not entirely sure why either. So I've got rid of them. Right, now, holding down Control. Just going to use my Select tool rather than Select and Move. Let's go through all these. To be honest, a lot of the time I can just get away with doing this. I'm just going to be careful not to actually select the other gun belt on the other side, because that'll undo a lot of the work we just did. And don't worry about the fact that I've got obviously the rest of the gun selected, because all I have to do is just click on it and it deselects itself. There is obviously a lot of pieces in here. Although the cunning thing is that these are already textured anyway, if we think about it, in this empty material slot here. So sod it, I don't need to do them. And what I'll do instead is grab that to there. No, not like that. Like that. Because we tend to want a fairly uniform mixture. Okay, unhide all. Now I'm going to hide this. And like I say, another good thing is that we can really see immediately what we've been working on. Put that on there, and I think that's actually bound into there, so I'm not going to mess around with that. Now let's isolate this. Okay. And I'm just going to toss that onto everything there. And then, remember what I said about these two parts here being separate, which is useful. I can then just apply that to there. Like so, and that's our entire piece. Unhide all, isolated for texturing, which was nice and easy. Okay, so let's go over our model. Now then, in 3ds Max, if I was going to then start building textures, it's really easy getting some fast, easy result textures on this kind of thing. So, let's make a quick copy of it. Okay, so this is our copied one, yeah? So all we need to do then is go into this one, for example, and we'll assume that we're using 3ds Max's mental array renderer. So here we go. Assign renderer, mental array. There we go. Just using the default mental array for the moment. Now we've got this, which is basically our rivets and things. So if I go over here and make it an architecture and design material, and I could make it any one of these metals here, or I could go down to my pro materials and have a metal. Now if I'm using a metal, it's always best to preview it, so if you double click it your big window comes up, and we've got a selection of different types here. Stainless steel's good. Change the reflective colour on it to quite dark. Surface finish to satin. Give 3ds Max a chance to catch up. There we go. We don't want a relief pattern on this or any pattern or anything like that. So that's already made the changes. So we just close that down. So the next one, which is this light blue here, that's that can be a painted metal. So click on here. So we can have metallic paint, or we could have wall paint. So, here's a nice wall paint, surface finish, eggshell, application method, sprayed, and let's say, I don't know, just trying to adjust this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I haven't actually got a lighting system in here, but if I go to Max script, run script, I think I've got a 3-point lighting thing here that belongs to Neil Blevins. I haven't got all the blur scripts installed on this. Never mind, I'll install some other time. But if I just mash F9 and hope that this doesn't crash. Now you can see at the moment it hasn't actually applied the textures, or has it? Let me have a look. I don't think it has yet. But if I then mash F9, you can see that it's applying the texture to this. Well, it should be anyway. Pretty sure I've got the right one. And it is incredibly fast as a system for applying this kind of material. You can see it's kind of changing it in the viewport as we go along. There we go, take that back out again for the minute. Anyway, it's really fast applying your metals just using 3ds Max. And then all we have to do is just use the daylight rendering system. And the daylight rendering system is an absolute doddle. You just grab your piece. Here we go. You are creating a daylight system. It is recommended you use MR photographic exposure controls. Yeah, alright. Drag your happy compass, drag your light up here. Then all you need to do, hang on, I just deleted it by mistake. Okay, so there we go. And then all you need to do is just drop here. And under sunlight, you just want your MR sun. And then under skylight, you have your MR sky. And it'll ask if you want to create an environment for that. And then you just mash F9. And it'll do a simple daylight rendering on your model. And if you've got metals and other things installed on that, it'll calculate all your GI for that as well. And that's how easy it is to do that kind of thing. Anyway, I digress, and I probably shouldn't. What I want to do now is take this piece that I've got here and put it into a different renderer. Now, because I'm going to do that, what I'm going to do is get rid of the daylight rendering system, because I don't want it here now. Move this entire bally lot up here. You'll notice it still all works. Now then, I need to make a cylinder down on the ground level. Reason being that when I pass it across, it's going to calculate the height of everything based on the lowest piece. So what I want is this piece here. Okay. And I'm going to make two of these. So I'm going to have one here like this, already opened. And then I'm going to have one that's kind of closed down and copied. You know what I mean? Okay, anyway. Shift and copy it over to here. Now you'll notice only that one's being affected by the control system, which is good. That's kind of what I wanted. So we'll just bring that into there. Now this one, just bring it down. I can then make it do that. So it looks more like it's in a much more dynamic pose. And the good thing is I can kind of copy this entire piece here as well. So if I just drag that. As you see, I can then really kind of show off the turret and how it's floating around. I mean, it doesn't have any noticeable repulsor units or anything like that, but then again, sometimes you don't need to show everything. So, I mean, that's not really too much of an issue. Okay, and I'll just copy that down to there. Okay, so I've got my 3 pieces here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to export everything as a filmbox file. So, export, and I'm going to export non-native file formats from the current 3ds scene. Now, I'm going to take them onto my storage drive, which is where I keep my projects, and here's MT3. It's going to be a film box, so this is our BS, which isn't what you think it stands for. Export to You're being a naughty little thing. Or maybe it won't let me have... Oh, I see, it's being awkward. So we'll have BSXP, that'll do. Now it should, in theory, give me some... No, it's not. Okay, let's try that again then. Export to Autodesk Filmbox. Sorry about this, it's being a bit of a nuisance. I'll just call it Export 1 this time. Right, now I get the options, and again, axis is going to be Y up. However, for us, the conversion, our axis, is the Z up, because we use max. Everything else will keep the same. It will call errors. It always calls errors though, so I really wouldn't worry about it. Okay, here's the errors that it's called, which I'm just going to ignore, because it's about turned edges. Okay, so what we have here, as you can probably see, is our model now imported into the bunk speed renderer. Now remember, I put down this disk here just so that we've got basically a reference for Hypershot for our floor. But if you look, and this is Alt and the left mouse button, I'm just rotating around my model in real time. Now I'm going to use my middle mouse button whilst holding down Alt, and then I'm going to hold my middle mouse button just to pan. And you can see that basically it's all kind of coming together quite nicely here. We've got our 3 cylinders, our 3 turrets that were so kindly designed for us by SolarKid, actually looking rather nice. So what we're going to do now is display our material library. There we go. And I'm just going to basically move this out of the way. We don't need it at the moment, so I'll move it to a different window. And this is going to allow us to choose some decent materials to use for this. So if we look in metals, for example, we have various things like gunmetal. So if I shift left click on gunmetal and then right click on here, you'll notice all our guns update at the same time, because they're all using the same material, obviously. Now what else have we got? Well, we've got swirled aluminium or stainless material here. We've got brass look, diamond plates. I mean, we've got lots of nice materials we can use here. I quite like that anodized red as well. Hard plastics. Well, we've got all these, so let's have a look at this and see how that looks on it. You see, that works quite well. Now, what about the rivets we've got over there? Well, we don't have any rusts. We could make a rust in bunk speed. It's not actually that difficult. You'd have to actually UVW unmap everything though in order to do it. Now, what's a nice material for this? Titanium. Let's have titanium. There you go, so that shows up nicely on there. Now, I'm going to come in a bit closer so I can see what I'm doing. And you can see we've got our bullets, we've got some other pieces here that haven't actually got any textures on either. So, let's see, I'm going to just apply the texture to that and to that. And you'll notice now that all our rivets have a kind of uniformed look to them. Now, if I was using titanium for that, See if there's anything else that might look nice as well. I don't want dark chrome because I think that'll look silly. And we don't want gold. Now, what's going to be a nice colour for our bullets? Well, I suppose gold. Let's have a look. Ooh, that is shiny. I do say. If I'd have selected the tip separately, I could have then used something else on there as well. Okay, so if we've got that, let's have a look. I've got this brass look green here. So, let's see. If I right-click it like this, we can remove or add materials to it and do all sorts of other things like that. Now, let's see what other materials I can use on this. Other. Don't want asphalt, carbon fibre. Left click, right click. There we go, and that's our carbon fibre, which I can also apply to that. And then if you're looking at hard plastic, I think possibly that would work quite nicely as well. Although cell phone black would probably look better. So a more stylized kind of look. Right, so let's see how we've done so far. Okay, and there we can see now the 3 stages of the gun that Solar came up with. Now, if I don't like the lighting in this, which is a possibility I suppose, I can change the environment image. Now at the moment I suspect the one that we have is kind of this startup HDR. We can change it to studio lighting. And as you see, that makes quite a difference. It's a much more complicated lighting system. That little disc on the floor, incidentally, we can Photoshop out. It's not textured or anything. Or we could probably right click, hide part, and then it will go away. There we go. Let's give this a chance to just update a bit. I mean, it's all down to kind of how much lighting you want in the scene, and we can increase the lighting as well, remember, by increments, using the up arrow, down arrow. That's an order of magnitude, or smaller increments, just right arrow up. So we can have it really bright if we wanted it to. Obviously this is kind of blowing out the scene quite heavily. Or we can have it really dark. Now let's see what other environmental images we can use on this. Surface evaluation. It's quite nice, isn't it? Now everyone always says, like when I'm doing this, oh, use German dirt road, which I think is kind of some sort of an ongoing joke. But let's have a look at German dirt road. And you have to give it a minute or two just so that it can kind of catch up with itself. Because it's doing this in real time, it has to calculate it in real time. But you get a good idea of what it's looking like. It's alright. But I think I'm just going to take it back to where it was. There we go. And what we have here then, in I think round about 4 hours yet again, let's see, yeah, around about 4 hours give or take, is our completed turrets as designed by SolarKit and as kind of built using 3ds Max and then Visa rendered using this. Possibly a little bit shiny, I think, on the material for the actual guns. Let's see if there's anything else we can change the gun material for. I mean, the titanium was quite nice. I think that material that I used, really, which was a hard plastic, was quite good. But plastic's obviously not going to work that well with this. Could have a leather gun, I suppose. Let's see, hard plastic. And I think it was probably just something like Black Star. You see, that's quite nice, but it no longer looks any good, does it? No, it's going to have to be a metal, just so it can be reflected. Although copper polish is probably a little bit too much. See, that's the one we started with. This is the whole kind of gunmetal one. Which I like, don't get me wrong, but... oh, I don't know. We can actually make these icons a bit larger if you want to be able to preview them slightly better as well. I mean, I like the anodized red, but it's a bit messy, and mercury won't work at all. So I think probably gunmetal is where it's at. Like I say, unfortunately, we don't have any rust. This is designed for making like objects look new in their renders. Although it does do the job very well. Yeah, I think that'll do. Okay then. So, what I'm going to do is stop recording for the moment, and if there's anything else I can think of, I'm going to add it to the set. But until then, thanks for watching and bye-bye for now.